Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Narancheva Narottama Devin Saraswati Vyasa Tattva Jaya Mudire Nasta Prayesabhadisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhava Itina Isiki Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 1. 1 to 3, yeah. Text 1. Si Sukha Uvacha Nisamya Vachampadato Mune Punya Tamam Ripa Bhuya Papracha Koravyo Vasudeva Katadritaha Nisamya Vachampadato Mune Punya Tamam Ripa Bhuya Papracha Koravyo Vasudeva Katadita Nisamya Vachambadato Mune Punya Tamam Ripa Bhuya Papracha Koravyo Vasudeva Katadita. So word for word translation and translation by His Divine Grace. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sukha Ovacha, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Nisamya, after hearing Vacham talks, Vadataha, while speaking, Mune, O Maitreya Muni, Punyatamam, the most virtuous, Ripa, O king, Bhuyaha, then again, Papracha inquired, Koravyaha, the best among the Kurus, Vidura, Vasudeva Kata, topics on the subject of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Adritaha, one who so adores. Translation, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, after hearing all these most virtuous topics from the sage Maitreya, Vidura inquired further on the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which he adored to hear. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The word Adritaha is significant because it indicates that Vidura had a natural inclination for hearing the transcendental message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was never fully satisfied, though continuing to hear those topics. He wanted to hear more and more so that he could be more and more blessed by the transcendental message. Text 2. Vidura Huacha Savai Swayam Bhuva Samrat Priya Putra Swayam Bhuva Pratilabhya Priyam Patnim Kim Chakara Thatu Muni. A word for word translation, Vidura Huacha. Vidura said, Saha, he, Vai, easily, Swayam Bhuvaha, Swayam Bhuvamanu, Samrat, the king of all kings, Priyaha, dear, Putraha, son, Swayam Bhuvaha, of Brahma, Pratilabhya, after obtaining, Priyam, most loving, Patni, wife, Kim, what? Chakara did. Tataha, thereafter, Mune, O great sage. Translation. Vidura said, O great sage, what did Swayambhuva, the dear son of Brahma, do after obtaining his very loving wife? So text 3. Charitam tasya raja sa adi rajasa satam bruhime sadadanaya vishwakshena shayo hyaso. Charitam, character, tasya, his, rajasi, of the stately king, adi rajasya, of the original king, Satama, O most pious one, Bruhi, kindly speak, me, unto me. So the Danaya, unto one eager to receive. Vishwak, Shena, of the personality of Godhead. Ashraya, one who has taken shelter of. One who has taken shelter. He certainly has saw that king. Translation. O best of the virtues, the original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead, Hari. And thus it is worth hearing of his sublime character and activities. Please describe them. I'm very eager to hear. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. In the absolute world, there is no difference in quality between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee. Therefore, hearing the topics of the Lord and hearing of the character and activities of the pure devotee have the same result, namely, the development of devotional service. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyana Jana Salakaya Saksuru Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Suchetaya Manobistam Stavfetam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantika Vandiham Sri Gurum Sri Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Sri Rupam Sarajatam Saha Gana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajeva Sadveta Sarvaduta Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Pada Saha Gana Lalita Vesha Kam Vetam Cha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodata Godadaya Puspavanto Chitu Chandu Tamon Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpataribhya cha kripa sunubhya eva cha patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo. So welcome everyone to this the segment of this morning program, which is the Bhagavatam class. And in these three texts, there is this process of inquiry. This is the distinctive characteristic of a human life, inquiries. Therefore, at the very beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, it is mentioned, Atato Brahma Vigyasa. Now, what is What is Brahma? That's the very beginning of the Vedanta, the most sophisticated classic text of the Vedas, commentary of the Vedas. So, and the Bhagavatam is also emphasizing the hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord. Why? Because traditionally, humans, we have that inclination for glorification. We want to glorify somebody. And in some cases, we want to be glorified. And according to taking Prabhupada's very words in context, Prabhupada said we should dovetail all of our inclinations in Krishna service. And so here, Vidura is simply, Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to Maharaja Parikshita and relating the discussion, the dialogue between Vidura and Maitreya. See, the Bhagavatam is built up in such a way that essentially it constitutes inquiring process. It's more or less like a community of inquiry. Someone is asking some questions for clarification, and some other person is there to clarify the other person's doubts, the inquirer's doubts. This is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. It's a process of inquiring and getting clarified of whatever ambiguities we may be having on a particular topic. And the devotee is concerned, Vidura is concerned about the activities of Swayambhuva Manu. Why? Because Swayambhuva Manu is to be glorified. He's a pure soul, a pure devotee of the Lord. And so in the Prabhupada has mentioned that glorifying the pure devotee of the activities or glorification of the pure devotee of the Lord and glorification of the Lord, they give the same result, bhakti. So here is how we can get bhakti, to simply glorify the activities of Lord Krishna or his pure devotees. So Prabhupada, Prabhupada, there are so many books written about Prabhupada Leelas. There's so many volumes of literatures that have been written about Prabhupada's pastimes, his teachings. So, yesterday I was mentioned also in the home program the need for us to study Prabhupada's books, to read. Because by reading Prabhupada's, reading about Prabhupada's pastimes, we get purified. We get bhakti. So bhakti is a simplified process of attaining the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't need any rocket science to do bhakti. No. Simply glorify the pure devotee, glorify the devotees of the Lord. Or glorify Lord Krishna himself. Krishna has many adventures in the spiritual world, in the material worlds. There's so many activities that we can glorify. Why did Krishna, when Krishna appeared on this planet, why did he perform so many activities? He doesn't need to kill a demon, but he did that as a lila, because he's lila purushotam. He came to enjoy lila with the damsels of Raja. Why? Because we like love stories. The condition, so we like love stories. If you have, say, a video clip of a short love story, you see how the internet users respond to that. They do have many views within a metacognitive time frame. So Krishna, knowing our defaults in terms of likeness, what the stories we like, so he came to, perform some leelas, some love leelas, so that people can become attracted. And it's not a hardcore philosophy. It's not setting up a conference and then giving some Vedanta philosophy that only a few people will be able to attend and understand. He chose to do this very simple thing that the human condition is we are addicted to arouse our loving devotion for him, to become purified just by reading these apparently mundane affairs. But they're not mundane affairs, because all of Krishna's activities, his pastimes, are all transcendental. Because we have this tendency to listen or to hear about loving affairs, stories of loving affairs, so Krishna came and he displayed these pastimes, his loving relationship with the gopis, so that anyone can relate with it or relate to it. So this is the best. Krishna is the best of teachers. The best teacher knows the needs of the audience. And he tell us, or she tell us, they tailor their subject towards the need of the audience, the need of the conditioned soul. That is exactly what Krishna gives to us. And so here, in this very chapter, which is dealing with the appearance of Bharadev, this preliminary text is still discussing about the previous text. It creates that link. You see, again, we see the Bhagavatam is set up in such a way that, see, when you're writing a thesis or you're writing an essay, one paragraph leads to the other. There must be a link. So here, this chapter is connected. The other previous chapter connects with this very chapter, because the preliminary text in this very fourth chapter is discussing practically, it's a continuation of the previous chapter. But then gradually it goes into the main theme of the chapter. You see how the Vedic literature is so perfectly organized, because it was set up by Vyasadeva, who is Lord Krishna himself, and is literally incarnation. This is the perfection of scholarship. This is the perfection of a dissertation. How one chapter connects with the next chapter. So see, anyone who reads the Bhagavatam or even any of the Vedic literature will approach it from different angles based on their status. So here, I just see how these two chapters are just connected with each other by dint of the fact that Vyasadeva puts this very preliminary text in serious connection with the previous chapter. So there are some things that are very important to us in this very three texts. And one of those things is virtuousness. You see, when we have to hear from someone about the glories of the Lord, the very preliminary concern is, what is the character of this person? Because if the person that we are hearing from has a modest character or a transcendental character, that will impact on the hearing process. That will impact on the hearer. I mean, it's like we are told not to even listen to someone who is professing to speak the Bhagavatam, but it's a Mayavadi. And there are this Bhagavatam is being used by reciters for sometimes for economic development. They go to some places and recite the 10 canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's all about all this, just recite chapters that have to do with Krishna dancing with the gopis. And when they finish the katha, they are down from the podium, and you see them smoking. Character. So here in the third text, Sukadeva Goswami is making a reference. Again, you see, we don't just tell things, but as highly intelligent as Sukadeva Goswami is referring to an incident between a discussion between Maitreya and Vidura. You see the connection again? Our process is that of hearing. We don't manufacture. Everything is already there in the Vedic literature. So here he's saying, it makes a reference to Vidura's inquiry, or best of the virtues. The original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead. And thus, it is worth hearing of his sublime character and activities. Please describe them. I'm very eager to hear. So, we can understand that Swayambhuva Manu was not an ordinary, it's not an ordinary person. It's a great devotee of the Lord. And he has developed character. Because he has developed character, we can hear about his activities. Because those activities will purify us. Any devotee who is transcendentally situated has the capability to transform minds, to transform even communities. And we see the example, the case of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada single-handedly transformed the world. He came to America practically with nothing. And who were the people he encountered in New York? They were not professors. They were not members of Congress. They were not top business tycoons, highly reputed company CEOs. Most of the people he met were potheads, bohemians, dickheads. But he transformed them. Character. He had sublime character. Prabhupada had sublime character. Therefore, he was an embodiment of bhakti. And people who encountered him, they developed their bhakti. Krishna Shakti Vinana He Tara Pravatana. If someone is not empowered by the Lord, how can he spread Krishna consciousness all over the world? No way. And what invokes empowerment from the Lord? Character of the devotee. Not only that, and Prabhupada, he was given a very tough instruction. really tough instruction. Talking about glorifying the activities of the pure devotee. Prabhupada was given a very tough instruction by his guru. The guru told him, if ever you have money, print books in English and spread the message of Krishna consciousness to the Western countries. At that time, hardly sadhus crossed the Atlantic Ocean. So Prabhupada had that very powerful, very difficult instruction to execute. He had no money to do all of these things, printing of books. And so he didn't just abandon instruction. He was sitting on that instruction, contemplating. I remember I was reading some documents somewhere when Prabhupada was at the Radha Damodara temple as a sannyasi. And he was making all these strategic plans, what he has to do when he comes to the West. He planned it. So, serving the orders of the pure devotee who is glorified throughout in the three worlds and whose glorification invokes devotional service unto the Lord. That is something worth doing. And so we understand that Swayambhuva Manu is a pure soul, and that is why the hearer of the Srimad Bhagavatam wants to understand his activities, his leelas. What did he do after having these wonderful wives, such a Rupa? What did he do? I mean, it's like in the Bhagavad Gita, when Dhritarashtra was making inquiries from his priest, he was also asking, also when my children and the Pandavas gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what did they do? Tell me. So, but this is a situation where the learner wants to know, the hearer wants to understand the activities of the pure soul, because these activities help to fortify the devotee in Krishna consciousness. Hearing about the activities of the pure souls help to purify us, just like hearing about Krishna's pastime purifies us. That's why I was mentioned yesterday the need for us to find some time, chalk out some time out of our busy schedule to read, if even it's just one paragraph of Prabhupada's writings. And these literatures, they're so vast. We have so many books. Right now, we have so many. There's Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam in cantos, Chaitanya Charitamrita in cantos, Chaitanya Bhagavat in cantos. It's so much to do, so much to invest our energies on. So, the glorification of the Lord and his pure devotee, it is something that is passed down from guru to disciple. Through the parampara, this is what is going on. And in the same Bhagavatam in Canto 2, Chapter 2, I think text 15 or so, it's mentioned how these hearing process is katamrita, nectarian, not just juicy, it's nectarian, katamrita, Sravana. And not only that, it says, aputresu sambrita. It purifies the heart. The same thing, before we read the Bhagavatam, we always make these prayers. Anasta prayesu abadrisu. Hearing and chanting the glories of the Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting the Bhagavatam, cleanses the dust of inebrities on the mirror of the mind, abada. All misfortunes are demystified. So, hearing the Bhagavatam, reading the Bhagavatam, it should be something that we have to cultivate. And we can do this even at home. If even we're not able to go to the temple because of one reason or the other, we could find some time to come together. Families, members of the family could come together and read something, because that helps to harmonize relationships. It helps to consolidate our spiritual awareness, and it gives us a sense of focus. Glorification of the Lord has to be done, and this goes from guru to disciple. So we hear Prabhupada has given so many lectures. And now in the digital age, all of these lectures are available on the internet. YouTube, Vedabase, the books are there. We are an ashram. We are not another mandir. An ashram is a place where spiritual culture is cultivated. Spiritual knowledge is implemented for us to have the appropriate spiritual transformation. So it means that we have to study the books. The studying of the books is, like I mentioned again yesterday, is the same thing, the same results you get like doing your puja. But here, you get also an added input based on knowledge acquisition. And knowledge, they say, is power. Not to speak of spiritual knowledge. So, character development ensures when we consistently hear, discuss, glorify the Lord. Isn't this amazing? So this the text, the purport here on text 3, the purport is pretty short, but it just is fully loaded. In the absolute world, there is no difference in quality between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee. Therefore, hearing the topics of the Lord and hearing of the character and activities of the pure devotee have the same result, same effect, namely the development of devotional service. The development of devotional service. In other words, when we embark on glorifications or hearing about this pure devotee, about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that in itself invokes that value of giving up speculative ideas, giving up material attachments, jnana kamadi anavrita. We will be able to achieve that. Hearing about the topics of the Lord and his pure devotees enable us to achieve jnana kamadi anavritam. We give up speculative tendencies and material inclusivities. So it's a simple process. We don't need to, it's not just a difficulty. Anyone, even a child, can listen, can hear about the stories and the pastimes of the Lord. Even a child can hear the pastimes of, and they are all, these days, everything is on audio, on video. The Bhagavatam, there is audio Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita, there is audio Bhagavad Gita. Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is audio. Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is audio. So, well, we may not have the chance to maybe sit down and read, but if even you're cooking in the kitchen, you can set up, you can be listening to the Bhagavatam. You can set up an audio Bhagavatam and be listening. In fact, I remember when I was younger, Pujari in Tuago Temple in New Jersey, because our program was so tight, and I just would use the period I'm on the altar to listen to lectures. I'm doing the deity service, but I'm plugging some lecture in my ears, and service goes on, and you don't know when you even finish, because the senses are fully engaged. So we can't afford to leave anything behind in the name of not having the time. We can always figure out time and do the essential things that will help us to attain pure devotional service. And it's not a difficult thing. The strategies are very simple. If even you're driving, you can listen to the Bhagavatam class on audio. You can listen to Bhagavad Gita class on audio. You're traveling, you're on the train, you can do something that will help to expedite the purification of our lives. And the devotees eager to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. So in this in text 3 here, it's mentioned Brohime. It's like, tell me, please kindly speak. I'm eager to hear about the glories of the Lord. The glories of the Lord, they act as the medicine to cure us from the disease of material entanglement. And this medicine is not through intravenous. It's not through, it's not taken through the mouth. It's not also through the veins, because sometimes, people have some problem, and then they meet the doctor, they give the medicine through the veins, intravenous. This is not it does not require all of that. You may say, I don't have water to drink the medicine. It does not require water. It doesn't require aqua fortis. It doesn't require water. How do you drink this medicine? Through the ears. Through the ears. So, yeah, we have to see how we are taking advantage of what is on ground for us. And these literatures, they are so enriching. Each time you read or each time you hear in the Bhagavatam, it purifies the senses and the mind. And we are struggling with the distractions caused by the mind and the senses. But there is also a remedy to that. Constantly hearing by Krishna and his pure devotees. So we'd like to stop here. Maybe there are some questions or some concerns. Please feel free to ask. Any comments or questions? Are the boss any comments or questions? It's a simple stuff. I'm sure there's no question or comment.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo.
Thank you so much for emphasizing the importance of hearing. Maharaj, at least I find myself, sometimes I'm very excited to hear Srimad Bhagavatam for some period of time. And then we go into the lows again. The taste dwindles. And then again, it comes back after some time. How can one develop constant taste?
Yeah, the constancy or consistency comes with perseverance. And with the perseverance, you see, it's like, okay, I give this example. You know, you have to wake up to prepare to go to work. And some days, you feel so weak, but you don't say, well, today I'm so weak, to hell with work. I'm not going to work today. You can't tell your manager or your director or your CEO that because today I just observed that I was so weak, so I'm not going to be able to come to work today. They'll say you're not serious. So yes, these are due to the effects of the modes, the interplay of the modes of material nature, because the modes of material nature, they are always vying for supremacy. And the modes of material nature acting on us from within and from without. That makes it very difficult, okay? Because if it is just from without, you may find a way to deal with that. But from within, it becomes really extremely difficult. But when even we find ourselves in situations that we don't seem to be interested in hearing, we need to force ourselves. Lord Krishna mentions that it's by practice, constant practice. Constant practice. The people who are involved in sports, how they attain their perfection, became world heroes, big celebrities. They rehearse so much, constantly going to the field, going to practice. Yeah, there's nobody on this planet who is a great achiever who does not sacrifice his convenience for constant practice of his skills or desired skills or his profession. Those who are involved, those who are in the entertainment industry, they constantly rehearsing, they're practicing. And so before they come on stage, they practice so much. The theater artists, they practice so much. So we can get the taste, sustainable taste, when we persevere to practice. And when the taste comes, we are just consistent. We pray for the next day to come so that we can get on board of the Bhakti train. So yeah, in the beginning, it's a challenge. Sometimes we feel like a difficult, very uninterested. Sometimes the body gives us so much of negative warning that sometimes we just subscribe to the dictates of the mind and the senses. And so, yeah, we need to understand that we are being impacted by the environmental forces, the modes of nature, are impacting us more of passion and ignorance, are impacting on us. Some days we wake up, we get, and we're very, very, very smart. Get up from bed and go prepare. We're just happy about doing everything. Some days, we just completely, we don't even want to get out from the bed. These are due to the effects of the modes of material nature. So when we understand that the environment is not being favorable to us, we still can persist, because this is due. We can always do this by we identify the problem, but we don't give into it. we can always do the self-diagnosis so that we identify the problem we are facing. But we don't give in to it. The practice, it might be bitter in the beginning, but it's very nectarian in the end. I mean, it's like the example I was giving about this young girl who comes back from school and goes to chastise the mother that the mother just sent her to school to go and suffer, and the mother is just staying behind to enjoy, to sleep and eat. Even going to school, I remember when I was a kid, I never liked going to school. No. I remember when, I don't know whether I was in fourth grade or something, second grade. I don't remember. I think it's fourth grade that the students, my home was close to the school. And so the students and the teacher brought all of the pupils. they came singing a song. Hey, using my name to sing a song. We come to take you back to school. We come to take you back. And I think my dad went to make that arrangement with the teacher. So they organized that type of system, I never liked it. But then when I was growing up, like when I came to like third grade and all these things, I became so much interested in schooling. Yeah, so in the beginning, we may not have that zeal, that enthusiasm to, we may be confronted with, Hridaya Dubalia, weakness of heart. There's so many things that are confronting us in our sadhana. But we should not give in to it. We should understand what we need to do and focus on that. And we will be able to cross these hurdles in due course of time. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo.
Yeah, thank you so much for a nice class. So I was just thinking maybe if you can comment on um, the apparent technical differences that are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam when one reads, right? So I mean, we'll be able to find. I mean, there are some technical differences, so that doesn't fit our brain, right? So how does one process those? Maybe if you can just comment on that, Maharaj.
What? Give me an example.
So an example is actually like Brahma, like in the previous chapters, we were reading about the Brahma meditating, right? Some places it says 100 years, some places it's 1,000 years, some places it says demigod 100 years, and it like human 100 years, right? Like three or four different things that we hear and from Prabhupada purports and other devotees commentary. So maybe, yeah, how do we process those? So
Yeah, there could be some apparent differences, but in some cases, you're talking about years on this planet. And in some cases, they're referring to years on Lord Brahma's planet. And in some cases, even otherwise. So, because the Bhagavatam is such that it's giving us some of the leelas are not even within this material universe. Some of the leelas are from the spiritual world. So the time is relative. And so in most cases, we tend to process everything based on our own calculation of our time. But even here in America, look at it in this way. Even here in America, 7 a.m. is not the same everywhere. 7 a.m. could be some other time in Los Angeles. 7 a.m. in the Midwest could be another time in the East Coast. So, yeah, there could be some apparent differences, some ambiguities, but we need to process it based on universal principles, and also to understand the Bhagavatam properly. We need to figure out what is being discussed and where is this taking place. Some of the discussions are taking, some of the leelas or some of the discussions are not within this, are not even within this our own universe. or not even within our own planet. And it makes it very difficult, so to say. But see, what we can do is to take the essence of what is being said. What does this statement, what do I take home from this statement? Instead of analyzing things based on conceptual analysis. If we approach the Bhagavatam from conceptual analysis, we may not be able to imbibe the culture of the Bhagavatam, which is to develop pure love for Krishna. So I give an example. Now, it's one of these Krishna's leelas. Krishna was trying to punish the gopis. Okay, and Krishna trying to punish the gopis. Why? Because the gopis refused to give him pearls. He wanted some pearls from the gopis to decorate his cows, but then and buffaloes. But then the gopis refused. So Krishna decided to make some garden of pearls. He collected some pearls from his mother, and the mother was even hesitant to give the pearls because the mother knows pearls don't grow from the ground. Pearls are gotten from oysters and other sources, not from the ground. But Krishna was, agitating that the mother must give him pearls. He wants. So mother gave him the pearls. He made the garden. Pearls, they sprang up, they flourished, there were fruits born, and then the gopis tried to imitate him. They saw that Krishna's garden was flourishing of pearls. The scent was booming all over it. It permeated the whole of Vrindavan. So they decided also, we saw him when he was making this garden anyway. Let us also do the same thing. So they did. They collected all the pearls from their homes and come to plant them in the garden, and nothing came up. It was just sticker bushes that came up. So they were at loss. And now they come to beg Krishna to help them with some pearls so that they can replace what they've taken from their homes, from their parents. So Krishna was hesitant. He wanted to show them that, oh, you refuse to give me the pearls, why should I give you mine? But you know what? Krishna's devotee exercised the role of a paradukadoki. Subal was taking sides with the gopis. And at some point in time, Subal was chastising Krishna. He said that, my friend, what type of person are you? These girls, they are devotees. Just because they committed some offense, and you treated them like this. So if we look at that story from the perspective of a literary disposition, we could say, yeah, it is justified. It is justified for Krishna to do this. It's justified for Krishna not to give him. But then the pure devotee sees it from a different perspective. Subal sees it from a different perspective. He was aggrieved to see the suffering of the gopis, the perturbation that the gopis were passing through. So, in a similar vein, when we see some things that seem to be contradictory, or Krishna's actions seem to be contradictory to ethics. He was not showing compassion. He's supposed to be the embodiment of compassion. But there was a reason for it. He wanted to teach the lesson. He wanted to teach a lesson to the gopis. Hey, I am the controller of all of the three worlds. And even what you have as your pearls, they are mine. I said, give it to me. And now you say you're being possessive. So, see, the Vedic literature is developed in such a way that we can always get the essence of any subject matter, any topic, or any leela. At the same time, we could choose to just recite that leela, and yes, we get purified. Just by reciting it and hearing it, we get purified. But the advanced devotee wants to see, they want to figure out the essence of that Leela, what they can go home with. So the essence of all of these so-called contradictions, the essence of all of these writings is to help us to develop devotional service. We have to look at that, because if we want to examine just the apparent contradictions of what this Acharya said, I mean, we have that issue with this concept of how the jiva falls. I mean, how the jiva come to this world. Papa says one thing, and some other Acharya says other things. But we don't think about what is Acharya has said and what Prabhupada said, or what Vishnu Chakravarti said, and what Narottam Das Thakur said. No, we don't really. That's not so much of our interest. Our interest is about getting the essence. What is this meant for us? How is this going to help? What is essence here? What is going to help us to build our bhakti? So yeah, if we understand the very essence of all the discussions or all of the postulations of the Bhagavatam, it points to one thing: to help the devotee to develop your devotional service. And so if we find any contradictions that we are not able to address, we could as well just focus on the essence. Because I remember when I just joined the movement, I was already in this fifth canto, and it was just so complex and, so difficult to even imagine, to understand. Yeah. So we do
Yes,
we read, see how we can digest. But my point is that the stories of the Bhagavatam, they are not just related to one planet. So they have different time zones, like we have in America, different time zones. And if you understand the different time zones in America, then we don't say, oh, 7 a.m. in New York is 7 a.m. in Los Angeles. No, it's not like that. Oh, yes, it's the same country, but the time zones are different. Similarly, the leelas, or those incidences that are reported in the Bhagavatam, all of them are not from the same time zone. And so there could be some differences. That's my take to that.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for a very detailed answer.
You're welcome. And or is it you guys said it's supposed to end at 8:30, right? Because yesterday I was hearing, oh, weekend of Maharaja, you can take
Yeah,
one.
no, that's right, Maharaj. Yeah,
It's all right.
8:30. If any devotee has a question, if you have a time, maybe you can take Maharaj.
Any other comments? We can take a last question if someone is having any questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Haribol. Upal Prabhu.
Thank you for a very wonderful and inspiring class. I'm sorry, yesterday I had some previous engagement and I couldn't come in person, but I heard your classes online, the morning and evening class, and I really, really appreciated them, really enjoyed hearing them.
Thank you.
And thank you for inspiring us so much. I was listening to your class yesterday, and you're speaking about finding our Krishna consciousness again and reviving our Krishna consciousness again. One person who I am in touch with, he was mentioning how he was initially very, very enthusiastic, and then he became very busy in his his work situation turned very difficult, and so now he cannot find time for his Krishna consciousness because things at work are not doing good, and also his family is also demanding more time. And sometimes we find ourselves in situations like that. What should we do what should I tell him? What should we do in situations like that, where it's a very difficult time, and so much he's not finding time to chant his rounds even. Is that okay? Is that just we prioritize that first? At times Prabhupada has said, even if you don't find time to chant and you have to sleep, you're sleeping 4 hours, then he said sleep 2 hours. And other times, devotees or Srila Prabhupada have said other things that it's okay. So what would be your guidance or advice?
I like meeting people who say that walk, or I like meeting people who say they get too busy with work, and so they are not able to chant. Then I'll sit them down. I'll sit down with them and analyze how they use their 24 hours. And this experiment, I've been doing it for over the years with people who say they're too busy with school, too busy with work, they don't have time to chant. And the common denominator is that the person comes up to say, "Oh, Maharaja, I'm sorry, I didn't use my time properly." So the point is, we have the time to do all this stuff. We have the time to do all this stuff. We don't know how to get it done. And I can't blame the people, because one thing is that juggling all of these things is very challenging. Maintaining your family, maintaining your devotional sadhana, and your work, or if you're a young person schooling, your school, is very challenging. In calculus, this is called integration, and calculus is very difficult, okay? But when it comes to that section of integration, even the brilliant calculus students, some of them walk out of the class. Why? Because it becomes so abstract, so complex, that instead of modeling their brain, they walk out to get the relief. They don't want to take it anymore. Okay? That is how much doing sadhana, focusing or developing your family, and doing your job, that could be so difficult. If someone tells you it's not difficult, they have not tried it. If you try it, you understand that it could be very challenging. But the good news is that when we effectively adopt a system of time management, managing our 24 hours effectively, this problem will be resolved. In most cases, we don't even plan or strategize on how to use our 24 hours effectively. So I'll give an example. There was this guy who was, I like telling this story because he's my friend. Even just recently, I met him again after like over 10 years. We never met because I changed my phone, and his number was no longer on my contact list. So then this guy, I went to Michigan. At that time, he just finished his MBBS in India, so he got a scholarship to do his MD in America. So he got attracted to me, so he was going with me around to different programs. So when we were going to one program, he said, "Maharaj, can I ask a question?" I said, "Come on, you're my friend. Feel free to ask any question you want." So he said, this is exactly what he said. He said, "We medical doctors, we don't have the time. We're very busy with studies and our hospital works. We don't have the time to chant 16 rounds." I said, "Okay, good for you. You don't have the time." So I asked him, "Do you think you are the first medical doctor in ISKCON?" "You're not the first medical doctor." And I said, "I stay in a home in Washington, D.C., where the host, owner of that house, he's a medical doctor. The wife is a nurse. We have two boys. They drive these two kids to their different schools. The boys are not going not in the same school. They drive these kids to their schools in the morning. They have to do Mangalati every day. They have deities. Their guru installed by himself. in their home. They have to do Mangaratri every day and go to work. A doctor, sometimes in America, they work 24 hours. Their chanting is not compromised. So, and then you are saying that you don't have time to do your japa. So let's go quickly about how you use your time. I said, ask him, how many hours do you use officially for school and for hospital work? He told. So we wrote it down. How many hours for sleeping? He told. We wrote it down. In fact, we analyzed all of his activities in the day. And before we got to the end, he was almost crying. He said, Maharaj, I'm sorry, I didn't use my time properly. That's what he said. Yeah, so when people say like that, they have not really gotten, they're not lucky to confront somebody who will sit them down and analyze their time with them. So they use that as an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Tell him how you could effectively manage his 24 hours. He should set his schedule, the number of hours he works, his sleeping hours, eating, taking, being with his family. All those things must be taken care of. But he still has a chunk of time that is not going to be able to account for, especially within this age of digitalization. That smartphones and internet are so much distracting people, making people to even lost their jobs. I know people who lost their jobs because of internet. I know people who fell out from college because of internet and smartphones. I come on. Effective time management is not being practiced. You see, it's not being taught in colleges. It's not being taught even when you're doing a PhD. I was exposed to time management. We did it as a course, a whole semester course, when I was doing my PhD in management science.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about it. And I found out when we did that course, I thought, wow, this is an eye-opener, because a number of people are suffering in this world because of lack of time management. And then they complain, I don't have the time to do this, I don't have the time to do that. But then you go into their lives, analyze things with them, they do not have that zeal to effectively manage their time. That is the root of the matter. They can reverse, they can change the button and have a U-turn, 360 degrees around, and learn to manage your time, set up a timetable, and see how they go. They will have time to do their job, to go to bed on time, so that they can wake up on time. Sometimes people just stay on the screen, they watch movies until late into the night. Then they complain, I don't have the time for japa.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. That was so helpful. That was very helpful. And for my own life, I'll think over many things you said. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
All right, let's adjourn this meeting today. Thank you, everyone, for coming. See you soon. Haribo.
Maharaj, there is a question online. I mean, Zoom, if you want to answer.
Yeah. Tell me, Bolo.
It is there on Zoom, Maharaj. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
1 second. So, is it by developing qualities? This is from Shyam Sundar Prabhu. Is it by developing qualities one can develop character? If so, how can we cultivate qualities like Krishna speaks about number of qualities in the Bhagavad Gita, like simplicity, pridelessness, etc.?
By cultivating bhakti, we can develop all these wonderful qualities. We don't need, because the development of good qualities comes with purification. For instance, if the mind, we may have good intentions, but the mind gives us some dictations, and because we are not able to control the mind, we fall prey. We become a victim of that very situation. So, if the mind is purified, the mind can always align with the injunctions of the Lord, with purity of purpose. And therefore, it is only through bhakti, especially chanting, that we can we can expedite the process of this character development rooted in loving devotion to Lord Krishna. You see, the pure devotees, they have transcendental values, transcendental character development. And that is why the hearer wants to understand, want to hear about the activities of the pure devotee, because their character is sublime. How do they attain that sublime character? Through devotional service. Through devotional service. So, even someone who is a butcher could become transformed by simply worshiping Tulsi. Now, we know stories like that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, the character development is a fundamental principle that is rooted in purity of purpose, and that purity comes with devotional practice. Again, it boils down to the point, when we attain devotional service, all of these wonderful qualities, character development, becomes dominant in our lives. Is Sanasandra hearing this?
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Gauranga, and yourself. Maharaj, yesterday you mentioned about
What's your name? What's that name? What's your name?
Chintamani Dasi.
Thank you.
Maharaj. So, Maharaj, yesterday you mentioned about, the time that one has to give to one's family and, all of the various stakeholders in one's lives, right? I mean, in particular, family, spouse, and children, and balance it with devotional service. What if the rest of the family are not devotees and maybe not favorable, completely?
When you say rest of the family, is it mean the nuclear family or extended family?
Nuclear family.
Okay. Okay, so thank you. That's a good point you raise. When the rest of the family, say the wife is a devotee, and we find this happens when maybe the wife is a devotee, initiated devotee, husband is not, and the children are not, because they're following the footsteps of the father. What to do? Focus on the devotional life, but make prasadam for everybody, and so that they can become purified. You can force Krishna consciousness on members of your family, especially when your spouse, if he is, for instance, the breadwinner of the house, it becomes very challenging to impose your religious ideas on such a person, because we have this tendency of thinking the men we know better than everyone else. So, but that's not true. Even materially speaking, that's not true, because like I have a number of friends that subject matters that people run away from. I have, men. I have ladies, professor friends who are professors in mathematics. They are PhDs in mathematics. Mathematics, people run away from mathematics, even the men. So it's not that men are more intelligent than women that we tend to portray. It's not the case. Maybe some other form of intelligence, because there are different types of intelligences. There's cultural intelligence, there's social intelligence, there's spiritual intelligence, there's so many different types of emotional intelligence, many different types of intelligences. So if we want to maintain, for instance, we want to maintain peace at home, peace in the family, we focus on ourselves and we do the needful, make nice prasadam. If they don't reject the prasadam, make nice prasadam and let everyone take it, because in due course of time they will be purified. Yeah, we've seen so many cases like that. We've also seen situations where some devotees, they start to practice devotional life, and family members, they are very antagonistic, openly antagonistic. But what do they do? In some cases, they just arrange prasadam, they go to the temple. When it's time to go to the temple, they arrange nice prasadam, bring to the whole family. And then I know the case of one of my friends. I think this lady, she was a bank manager. She retired now, a bank manager in the DC area. So one day we were talking, and then I asked about his parents. The daughter, she has a single child. Dora is a journalist. Dora is not interested in devotional service. Her parents are not interested in devotional service. But then she was overreacting. I asked her one day, how about your parents? And she told me, Maharaj, I would just dump these people. So I was trying to preach to her that don't do like that, because for someone to appreciate or someone to participate in devotional life, they need lots and lots of pious merit. So it's not because we are engaged in devotional service and we think that, oh, why don't you? This is a very simple process. What the hell are you talking about? Why wouldn't you do this? I dump you. I said, no, it's not done like that. Be compassionate. I asked, do they accept prasadam? Oh, she said, oh, they like prasadam like anything. I said, all right, so that's how you can preach to them. Try to see that. You get nice prasadam and send it to them every week, because they lived in different cities. She was living in DC, and they were living in Virginia. So yeah, we should not be overly disturbed when we find people, members of our nuclear family, not cooperative or not participating in Krishna consciousness. Everyone doesn't have the same pious merit. We may be married and in the same family, but we are individual souls. So we have to see how we are helping people in their devotional life. It's not so easy. Okay. It's not so easy. We should be compassionate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so shall we roll the ball now? Hi, Haribo.
Sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much for spending this extra time as well.
Hare Krishna, Dhanut Pranam. Are we closing, or is that okay to ask one question, Prabhu Maharaj?
Okay.
This is Balram Prasad Das.
Okay.
Maharaj, you gave a nice class of this hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and so that we'll get purified. So, of course, we may know this answer, we may not know this answer. So, but for me, it's always thinking in the back of my mind. Say, suppose I'm reading my study, from the childhood, I'm reading. Many things, not the Bhagavad Gita, not the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Okay. There are so many studies, so many things we do. But when we come to Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, then the matter of purification happens, right? So that means only the Krishna Katha will purify, nothing else will purify in our heart. That's the conclusion, and whatever we read so far, whatever we heard so far. And hearing from the Srimad, hearing from pure devotee. These are the things. So what really happens with person if he reads Bhagavatam is because super soul is sitting in the heart, in time memorial is sitting in the heart. Super soul, if I'm reading something else, super soul, so he knows that what I'm reading. So what does this mean? That means if I am showing interest to Krishna, with Krishna, then Krishna responds. Otherwise, won't respond. What exactly? Just a thought.
Thank you. It's a nice thought. You see, Krishna responds or reciprocates with us by just our thoughts. If we're thinking, for instance, how to serve Krishna, how to engage in devotional service, Krishna responds appropriately. And we have a free will because love is about free will. We volunteer our services for our loved ones. And therefore, if we choose to do something that is not going to purify us, Krishna is there also watching us as a super soul in the heart. But it does not interfere with our decisions. He can only remind us about the needful, but we are a little bit like, so to say, we are stubborn. We don't listen. So we're reading something and it is not connected with Krishna consciousness. That will elevate us materially. In most cases, say we're reading a subject matter, we're reading a topic in biology or physics or engineering. These skills or this knowledge base will help us to develop materially. But according to East Upanishads, the recommendation is that we have to develop materially and spiritually at the same time. We have to go on two rails simultaneously. So that is where the difficulty comes. That's where some people say it's very difficult. I agree. Integration is always very difficult. So yes, when we are reading other literatures, we get some benefit, material acquisition of knowledge, material acquisition of skills. But when we read, say, the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these literatures that are devoted to delineations on the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees, we get exponential purification that enable us to develop bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. That is just the difference between the two literatures. We read something else, even in the Vedic literature, we may read something. See, Srila Vyasadeva, he compiled the Vedic literatures, but after doing all that type of huge literary work, literary service, he still felt despondent. He was not happy. So he was making some investigations why he was not happy after doing this amazing service, compiling the Vedas. So his guru came to him, explained to him that he had not sufficiently described the glories of the Lord. That is why he's not highly enthused, spiritually ecstatic about what he's done. So he recommended that he should glorify the Lord. And that is how the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva commented or summarized the Vedanta Sutra in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is focusing on the glorification of the Lord and his pure souls, pure devotees. So yeah, we always gain something. We always gain something when we read, if even we read the newspapers, we get some information. But that does not facilitate the expedition of development for love, or development of love of God and for Krishna, love for Krishna. That's the difference. And we could do one thing, we could form an habit. It might be challenging in the beginning, but obviously we can form an habit of reading something, reading Bhagavad Gita, maybe every day, if even it's just a paragraph or Srimad Bhagavatam. And the good news is that there is a systematic study of all of these books these days. Like we have the Bhakti Sastri, we have the Guru's Disciple Relationship course, the Bhakti Sastri, the Bhakti by Baba, Bhakti, so many degree programs in ISKCON. So those who want to delve into these Vedic literatures, they could go with that systematic study. And I think in some cases, you have to have a Bhakti Sastri before. With some gurus, you have to have a Bhakti Sastri before they give you what do you call Brahman initiation. Of course, if you want to become a sannyasi, you must have a Bhakti Sastri degree. And now even they're trying to change that to the level of Bhakti Vaibhava, of course. So these things are important for preaching, okay, and for enriching our knowledge base so that we can share what we have learned from all of these books, from all of the realization that we have from this wonderful endeavor with others to enrich others' devotional cultivation too. Yeah.
Prabhu, Maharaj, I have another question follow-up, if it is okay for you.
Please.
In Bhagavatam, if demigods or any, even Lord Shiva, he wants to ask something to Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, then normally if I see Srimad Bhagavatam verses, they'll go to Krishna or some form of incarnation, and they will glorify. There will be series number of texts. If I look at it, they glorify Lord Krishna, and then they will ask, can I have this, right? For example, recently we were reading from Srimad Bhagavatam on the Samudra Manthan, right? After the Samudra Manthan, after the Mohini Murti's appearance, Lord Shiva got inspired, and then he goes to, along with Parvati, he goes to Vishnu and say, he starts, basically his ask was, back of the mind was, hey, can I see the Mohini Murti? He did not do that. Instead, he glorified Krishna with many verses, right? Many verses. And then asked, can I see the Mohini Murti? For me, I was thinking, maybe I want something in my, of course, materially, spiritually, we'll go to Krishna, right? So if I want something, I'll just directly go with my laundry list. Hey, Krishna, I want this. But I don't glorify, right? So what do we do in this situation?
Yeah, Krishna mentioned that Kama Sarva Kama Ba Moksha Kama Dara Yogi. And that anything we are full of material desire, we should come to him. So Krishna has given that order. Okay, so anybody is free to come to Krishna. Well, whether you want to glorify him before you ask for what you want, or you just go straight, it's up to the individual. Yeah, so Krishna has given us the permission to come to him to ask for anything. And so if somebody goes to him and first he glorifies him before he asks what he wants, that's up to them. Krishna does not really care about whether you glorify him or you don't glorify him before you ask what you want. He gives us that green light that we should feel free to come to him. But the pure devotee asks for pure devotional service. The devotee asks for pure devotional service because the pure devotional service is what can enable us to become free from, again, taking birth in these material universes. Yeah. Asking something from Krishna is not a crime. But if we want something that is going to entangle us more in this material world, that is also it's our discretion. And the authentic devotee seeks for blessings to grow in devotional service so that they can attain pure devotional service in this lifetime. And then all other problems are solved. I mean, it's like you have, if you're a billionaire, $100 is nothing to you. Yeah. So when we get pure bhakti, everything else, comes to play. But it doesn't mean that we should not acknowledge Krishna for our deficiencies, or we are even free to beg Krishna to give us the bhakti. Krishna will be very happy about that. If we ask for something else, he will also give. Maybe, but he will determine how useful that could be in development of bhakti. So yeah, Krishna has a free will to do what he wants. We also have our free will to ask what we want. And that is how the loving relationship goes between the Jiva and Krishna. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. We'd like to adjourn this meeting now. It's 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Bol.